All right, it's time for Political Buzz, your rapid-fire look at the best political topics of the day. 3 questions, 30 seconds on the clock, and playing today, comedian and SiriusXM talk show host Pete Dominick, poli-sci prof and chief political correspondent for Politics 365, Jason Johnson, and CEO and best-selling author Tom Blair. All right, guys, first question out of the gate. Conservative magazine, The National Review, says it's time for Newt Gingrich to get out of the race. Here's the quote. It is not clear whether Gingrich remains in the race because he still believes he could become president next year or because he wants to avenge his wounded pride. All right, so what's his motive? Tom, kick us off.
Well, I would suggest that in the universe, there's nothing more powerful than the male ego. And some males wear their ego as a pair of socks, other people as a top hat. I would suggest that Newt wears his ego as a top hat. And the same ego that made him successful during his 30s and his 40s and 50s really won't let him surrender. In politics, unlike most professions where, let's say, a baseball player passed his prime, the manager can call him in and say, you're through. In politics, you need to spend a few $1 million and have a few million folks vote against you before you realize it's time to go. He's a prisoner of his ego.
Pete?
Oh, I just love that metaphor. That's fantastic. The fact is, Newt Gingrich doesn't need a hat. His head is that big. But anybody running for president, has to have a huge ego. But I was reading news from 1995 when Newt Gingrich admitted that he participated in the government shutdown. He influenced it because of a snub on Air Force One by President Clinton. He literally held the government and the American people hostage because of the way he didn't get attention from the president on an airplane. So I wouldn't put that aside. It's all about Newt. He's out there to make money, to sell books. And with this campaign, anything can happen.
All right, let's go to the humble Jason Johnson. JJ?
Look, this is all about ego. This is all about anger. He's like old man, like Liam Neeson, old man angry. He's just out for revenge. You know.
What did Peggy Noonan say? The angry little attack muffin?
Exactly. I mean, he's all he wants to do is take down Mitt Romney for what Mitt Romney did to him in Iowa. So it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Newt Gingrich has no problem running a shoestring campaign. He did that all last year, but he is not getting out of this race. They're going to have to pry it out of his hands.
All right, here we go. Question number 2. Rick Santorum firing back at Occupy protesters who interrupted his rally in Tacoma last night. Take a listen.
I think it's really important for you to understand what this radical element represents. Because what they represent is true intolerance.
Wow, we heard radical intolerance. Has the Occupy movement run its course? Tom?
Well, there's another part of that quote, which he said, you need to go out and get a job, which I think is going to cost him because it's insensitive when you have 8 or 9% unemployment. He almost sounded like Wallace in the 1960s saying, if you don't like Alabama, leave, or Nixon saying, you're nothing but a bunch of drug-crazed hippies protesting the war. Does the Occupy Wall Street have momentum? They really don't have a national spokesman. If they had a national spokesman, they had a national mission, I think they may have a chance. But I think with spring coming, they're just going to evaporate.
Pete?
Well, listen, first of all, the Santorum campaign has a little problem with lighting in that video. They need to help him out. Rick Santorum calling other people intolerant, Kira, is like me bragging about how many hairstyle choices I have. It's just the height of irony. And with the Occupy movement, who knows? Anything can happen, but it has already made a huge, huge impact. More A1 newspaper stories about income inequality than ever before, and that is a really important thing, and we're seeing that in the campaign right now.
Jason?
Occupy Wall Street movement, they've already won. They won by changing the narrative for the election.
That was a mistake, by the way.
Wow.
Yeah,
I guess they didn't win.
You know, I think our audio operator might be an Occupy protester here freelancing. They've infiltrated the control room.
Angry at my statement, clearly. But you know, they already won. Everybody knows what the 99% and the 1% is now. They have changed the narrative, and it's especially dangerous for somebody like Mitt Romney. So Occupy Wall Street, they already have their victory, whether or not they're camping out in state parks anymore.
You want to add anything else? You get about an extra 10 seconds, Jace.
Well, tell your audio guy to get a job.
Exactly. Get a job, audio guy. Really, really.
Okay. Time for your buzzer beater. 20 seconds on each. We will get it right. Mitt Romney still can't shake this video, guys, showing how he handled his poor little dog Seamus nearly 30 years ago. So now, Dogs Against Romney group are going to protest at the Westminster Dog Show. So how does Romney prove to America that he is dogs' best friend? Pete?
Well, first of all, he's got to reject the Michael Vick endorsement. Maybe he can get a Bo, the Obama's dog endorsement. That would be a huge upside. Maybe he can get out there and start shaking some paws and playing some fetch, put that on video. He needs to play this up. This is a good thing. It's a great American story, taking your family on a trip. It's not like the dog was in a separate car with the Romney family chauffeur. Hey, dogs love the air, and not one voter is going to care about this at all.
Tom?
He can make a positive out of this negative. What he needs to say is the dog was under the kitchen table all the time, begging for scraps, looking for handouts.
Yes.
Given that, I just assumed it was a Democratic dog. I didn't want him in the car with us.
Fair. Fair.
Jason?
This is killing him because the image of him driving with his dog on a roof, it makes me think of Clark Griswold, what happened in National Lampoon Vacation. Look, dog owners are more likely to be Republicans than Democrats, so Mitt Romney can't lose this group. He needs to talk about the fact that Bain Capital actually owned a dog food creating company. He needs to talk about the fact in 2006 he made Responsible Pet Owners Month in Massachusetts. He has a good record on dogs.
Jason, if you remember Vacation, at the end, the dog is no longer there.
I know.
Okay?
Exactly.
Let's make the point that Romney still had a dog.
That is true. That is true.
Impressive knowledge, Kira. Impressive.
What can I tell you? I'm such a hard-hitting journalist. Gentlemen, thank you. That was fun. All right,
Kira.
straight ahead. Millions of Americans love their smartphones. They can surf, read emails, even watch movies. But now some cell phone giants are actually trying to throttle the heaviest users. Christine Romans here in Atlanta to explain. Sorry, I'm a little thrown off by the...
I started laughing so hard.
You remember Vacation? You remember the movie? Come on. That was one of the funniest parts. The dog, you see the leash and the collar. And anyway,
I want a buzzer for this one. We need a buzzer for this one. No, this is kind of